Hello and welcome to this video. My name's David Thorne. In this Docker Basics Lesson 1 video, we're going to talk about why use Docker. And if you're new to Docker and you just don't know really why you should be using it and if you should be using it, this tutorial is exactly for you. So without any further ado, let's get started. So as you can see here, I am on an Apple MacBook here. And just to show you, I'm on a MacBook Pro. And so on. There's all the information there, so it's not really super important right now. And I've also installed Docker Desktop, and you can see here that if we flick through the different sections, I'm guessing if you're on a Mac you've got this already, okay, but you can see that there's really nothing actually running and nothing going at the moment. All right, so let's just move this out of the way. And I'm assuming that you've already pre-installed the Docker command line interface. All right, so let's just assume you have. And if you haven't, then I would suggest you go off and do that now and look at the Docker website to do it. But the question is, why do we want to use Docker? Now, I mentioned that I'm using a Mac here, and now Mac is using Unix, right? But if I wanted to be able to use a Ubuntu machine or a Linux machine, a Debian, Red Hat, CentOS or something like that, but I don't want to have virtual machines, all right? So I don't want to run any virtual VMware or VirtualBox or anything like this, and I literally want to be able to I want to export all of this data, the configuration file, super quick and easy, so that someone else on their machine, be it Linux machine or Mac or Windows, they can do exactly the same thing without us worrying about the architecture, the system, the operating system. We want Docker to worry about that, right? And Docker, it's abstracting all of this stuff in the background for you. So you just say declaratively what you want to run on which machine and which version, and Docker will run the rest of the stuff in the background. So I much prefer demonstration rather than explanation, first of all. So I'm on my Mac, and we want to run a Ubuntu, the latest version of Ubuntu. And so all we have to do here is Docker run -it, and we're going to go over this all in the next videos. Okay, so just watch for the now, and we'll explain it in the other videos. So Docker run -it, and we want to then download and install Ubuntu and latest. And when we do this, we're going to go into the Ubuntu machine using the bash command. So let's let Docker do its thing in the background, and it says I'm unable to find the Ubuntu latest locally. We're going to talk about that shortly. Then it says pull in the Ubuntu machine. It says pull complete, and there's a whole bunch of hashes and digests in here and so on. And now we have this funny root at and a hash number here, and so on. But as you can see, if we run lsb release, which is not there, and we run app updates, and we let this go through, and so on, and now we run lsb release, and we say yes, and yeah, we still got a pretty good idea. We're running Ubuntu, and we run ls release here, lsb release. You now see that we're running a Ubuntu version 22.04.3, and it's a long-term support one, the codename Jammy, and so on. So there we go. We've now got our Ubuntu machine, and as you can see, I've done everything else that I wanted to do on a Ubuntu machine. All right, and so this is the advantage of it. And now when I come out of it, if I exit out of it, I'm back on my MacBook again. But if you wanted to run and install Nginx on your Mac, but you didn't want to actually install Nginx on your Mac or your Linux machine, you just wanted to basically have Docker control this itself. This can be done super easy once again as well. So we can just say Docker pull and Nginx and say, hey, give me the latest version. And it will go off and it will pull it and it will do its thing in the background, worrying about the operating system, this, that, and the other, and make sure that the right one is installed on your one machine. And so once we've got this, we can then say Docker run, and we'll just say -t to put it in the background as a daemon, and we can say run Nginx. And what we can do, just for the sake of actually having it listen on the right port, so we can talk to it, we can just say, hey, listen on my machine on port 8080, but I want you to listen on 80, and we just run Nginx down. We just put it in the background. And now we can say Docker PS, and we can see that our dazzling surf machine, is what it's called, is up and running. It's been running for 2 seconds now. And if we now say localhost, or we curl localhost port 8080, you can see we get the standard web page that's been displayed. All right, so this is how you could quickly get a Docker machine up and running using Nginx. Now for another example, let's say that you wanted to get MySQL up and running on your Mac, but you just couldn't download it and you didn't want to mess around using it as well. Docker can do this as well. So we can just say docker pull MySQL, and once again, we're just going to say, hey, the latest version, and it will go off and it make sure and it will store and download all the correct version once again, just like I mentioned in the other examples. So this is something really super easy to be able to get a MySQL server up and running on your machine without worrying about changing any of the configuration files on your one machine. And this is portable as well, which means this script that you write, if you do write one, you can send it across Slack or whatever and give it to another work colleague who's got Docker installed, and they can run it exactly the same, not worrying about changing or anything on their one machine. So with that said, once we've got Docker image downloaded and installed, we can say docker run -d to say, hey, put it in the background, right, and keep it running. And then we can say ports, and I'm going to say 3306, and that's, or 33060, and I'm going to map that to 3306. And we're then going to then just say the MySQL image that we want to use, and we can now come and say logs and follow, and we're going to say we need to get our machine name first of all that was up and running, and there's a reason why this is not going to work. Okay, so we're just going to run it again for you, because you have to run it correctly. Whoops, you have to run it correctly to do it. So let's just run this command once again for you to see why it exited. All right. And we go up, and you can see here that it's saying, hey, I don't have a MySQL root password to be able to fully run this. So let's just now give it an environment variable of MySQL root password, and we're just going to say 123456, and now we're going to let it do its thing, and this time it's going to write everything to standard out, and it's not going to run in the background. So we can now see that it is being initialized and it is being running exactly how we want to. Now, like I said, if I exit out this terminal, that MySQL container is going to be dead. So we're just going to pop over to another terminal, and we can say docker ps, and you'll see that we have another container up and running. So if we want to pop inside of this one container to have a look, we can do this using the execute command. Right now we're inside of it, and if we say MySQL, we now need to actually use the password. I'm going to say root and use a password, and we should now be in. And now you can see that we've got we've now got a MySQL machine up and running, right, on our local device. And once you're finished with it, you can then just come along here and say, hey, I'm done with you now. And we can stop it, and we can remove it. And we've got our images now, which we've got installed MySQL image. And we can come here and we can remove our image super easy. And we now know that we've got nothing on our machine. And our machine is now free of MySQL. It's free of Nginx. It's free of Ubuntu. It's free of all this stuff. And it's super clean once again. And the only thing we have to do is stop Docker. Now, if this isn't enough reasons for you to be able to understand why you should use Docker, then just keep watching the next video, and I'm going to do more examples of going a little bit more in detail. Okay. Don't worry about it. If I lost you anywhere, I'm going to go through all of these commands in the up and coming videos, but this should just give you a quick introduction now into why you should use Docker. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to give me a like, subscribe so you get notified when I release any new videos. Otherwise, put any questions or comments you have in the comment section down below. Your questions are going to help me and help others to understand what they want to learn and how you want to learn a little bit better. Thanks, and see you in the next video, and goodbye.